today I was planning to do a Vampire Survivor stream, but then I thought perhaps I'll take a break from that because I was thinking about some other kinds of videos I wanted to create, and I wanted to create some particle effect videos. And after giving this some thought, I have decided to create 2 effects for today. So let me show you. So the first effect I want to try creating, because this is, well, we ended up going back to Vampire Survivors anyway, but I wanted to create the effect that you get from the treasure chest in Vampire Survivors. So if you've played the game, you would know what the effect is. It's this effect with the sound, but I'm just gonna leave the sound up. And I think this is pretty meaningful, right? Because if we create this effect, then we can put it into our project, and well, that's always useful, right? And the other thing I wanted to create was an effect that I thought, well, I couldn't find any tutorials on that, so I thought let's go through how to create this. And it's the terrain effects that you see in Pokemon. So let me just show you how it looks like. Let me just zero out the sound. So some Pokemon, when they enter the field, they create a terrain effect, and I wanted to go through how you can create these effects as well. So let's start with the treasure chest first. I think this is gonna be a little bit more challenging, and then after that, if we have time at the end of the stream, the treasure chest effect will probably take me a couple of hours to create, and if I can get it out, then we can go on to create the Pokemon effect. So probably this stream is not as appropriately titled because it says planning our future content, right? But then we ended up going back to Vampire Survivors. So let me just try and break down the effect and see how many layers there are to it. So I guess the first thing we need is the treasure chest sprite. If we were to create the treasure chest effect, so we need an open and a close sprite. Let me just look through the available sprites, and then I'll pick one that we can use. I will most likely use this one. Maybe not. Let's look at our other options. Maybe maybe this one works. Let me play around with the sprite over here. And we can see whether we are able to use this. Legless, closed, open. This is the preview. How are we supposed to use this treasure chest? So this is the chest when it's open. And this is the lid, right? This is closed, this is open. Closed, open. Well, I guess we can use this one since we don't have the 3/4 treasure chest view like in Vampire Survivors, and I don't think there's any other sprites that can work. Let me just have a look at the other sprites and see what options we have. So we have the Blender one, we have these. These are 32 by 32 pixels. Well, the problem with these sprites are that they are not. I want one with a cap open, you know. Pixel treasure, gold treasure. Let's look at each to see whether we have any other game assets like free treasure chest. Animated chest. Hi, thanks for tuning into the stream. So I made this a general coding stream, but then I ended up working on Vampire Survivor stuff in the stream anyway. So I'm creating the treasure chest effect that you see in Vampire Survivor. So we don't have that in our project yet, so I thought that would be interesting to do. I was planning to do some VFXs, but then I thought the treasure chest was still the most interesting VFX. And that is what we are going to do in the stream. probably take about 3 or 4 hours, and then we have time. I will create another effect from Pokemon, terrain effect. You can see that at the start of the stream I showed both effects, and right now what I'm doing is looking through some assets for treasure chests that I can use for the VFX. I'm glad you're following the tutorial. If you run into any problems, you can drop a comment on the video themselves, or you can drop us a post on our forums. So right now I'm going to I am going to download this treasure chest asset. And see whether I can find I'll see whether this works. These assets are really small. I think the best one is still this asset, huh? Not this one. This one, because we can scale it up to say like 512 or something, and it still works pretty well. So if we scale this up, it still looks pretty okay, you know? So probably I'm gonna use this one. So let's go to the Vampire Survivors project, and I am going to create a new canvas, and this canvas is going to be called Treasure Chest. Treasure Chest reward canvas. Well, it's a mouthful, but let's hide the other canvas temporarily so that we can just work with this one. And I'm gonna go to the art folder and create a new. Oh, we actually already have treasure chests. Perhaps we can use these. Or maybe not. Let's use the new one, because I'll explain why in a bit. So these treasure chests are great, but I just want to have. I want to use the chests over here. Yep, I'm only using assets found on the internet. So the reason that I'm using assets found on the internet and the free ones at that is because so that anyone can follow the tutorial series. I mean, otherwise you have to pay for the assets, right? Which may be a little bit of a problem for some of you. So AI is an option as well, but AI, you have to have a basic grasp of Photoshop, even if you want to AI generate your assets, because at the moment AI isn't very good at generating game assets. That may change in a year or two, but for now, if you grab an asset from AI, probably wouldn't work, especially if you're looking for pixel art. I haven't been able to generate AI assets yet. Even I've tried the Unity AI. I've tried Unity's AI generator and didn't do so well either. So online assets is still the way to go, at least for the next year or two. I think AI is going to evolve very quickly. So in a year from now, this may be different. But yeah, for now we're gonna look for free assets online. So even if I'm not an art person either, so I have a basic grasp of. I only have a basic grasp of Photoshop, but I can create some basic assets. If you refer to some of our VFX videos, right, there are some where I work with Photoshop, but then I don't draw assets. I only modify the assets to make them fit into Unity. So yeah, Unity is a lot of fun. Art for me is not very fun, but it's fun when you put things in, and it's fun when you go to Photoshop and you try playing around with the visuals inside to get it to fit into your game. So this is what I'm gonna do actually. Right now we have this treasure chest over here, right? And the first effect I want to create is this one, and you see there is this beam that appears, right? And then you have like a rolling list of weapons. So this is the first thing I'm gonna be working with. And then we have we can have multiple beams as well, right? So let's work on the chest first, getting it open. So we have a basic canvas. So maybe let me just, this is the treasure chest reward canvas, and perhaps the first thing I should do is to create a container, because you have this box that appears here, right? And then we have the golden beams at the back as well. So that will be a good first thing to create. What is today's plan for the stream? I was thinking about it, and I was planning to go through how to create some Pokemon effects. But then I came across I remember that we have to get the treasure chest animation up, because right now the treasure chest doesn't really work. So that's my plan for the next part of Vampire Survivors. And the other plan I had was to create this effect from Pokemon. So there are quite a lot of very nice effects in Pokemon that are very simple. So I thought that it would be interesting to go through how to create them. This is the one I was thinking about creating. So it's the Psychic Terrain effect from Pokemon. It's pretty simple, but it looks pretty nice, right? I mean, there's quite a bit of colors and all that. And then when I saw this video, I thought, hey, actually there's a lot of stuff that we can cover how to create. Like for example, we can create how to do the we can go try to do the terrestrialization effects. So in Pokemon, there is this thing where they apply a different material to your Pokemon and they look very crystally, and that's something that I want to go into maybe for a couple of games. Like in Street Fighter, they have very nice effects on characters as well, but their effects not crystal, it's something else. They have paintbrush effects, right? Those are really nice as well, and I thought there's no tutorials covering that, so I want to do that as well. But that's like for the long run, and we have to do some R&D to figure out how to do those things before we can create tutorials on that. I don't think there's anything on YouTube for these effects at the moment, so I think that these would be great to cover, because at first I thought of maybe let's do rain, but then rain is like, you Google, if you search on YouTube, there's like 10 videos. Just Google Unity rain and there's 10 videos covering rain, so I think there's no point for me to cover how to do rain since everyone else has already done it. So I was looking for effects that haven't been covered on YouTube and covering them. So for Metroidvania, we are working on Part 11. We are creating a save, improving upon the save system. First, I'm not gonna cover it here, but we are working on it, and the reason that we are working on it is because right now, if like we have multiple levels, right? But if you pick up a one used item in one of the levels and you go back to the same map after that, the item respawns. So then you can collect that item forever. So then we are creating a system that allows us to record when certain items have been picked up, so you'll never be able to pick it up again. So that's gonna be fun as well. And Joseph is the guy who replies to all your questions on the forums. He's working on Part 11 right now. So let's work on the treasure chest first. And first thing I'm gonna do is to create a container for the treasure chest, and then perhaps we can create some particle effects for it. So let's create a panel, and this panel is going to be stretched across the entire screen, right? make it opaque, and we have a border that we can use. This one. We will nice slice it. It's very nice sliced. So pixel unit multiplier, let's make it 3. And the most important thing is to figure out how much of the screen we want it to cover. 0. Yeah, Joseph is great, right? I'm gonna show him your message. Just give me a moment, actually. I'll show him your message. I think he'll appreciate it. Let me just screen cap that. Okay, I've let Joseph know, and I'll let you know what he replies. I've screen capped your message. Alright, so let's continue with the treasure chest effect. What I'm doing here is I'm setting anchors for the container. Then after that we can zero out the borders and we have a box like this. So this will be the chest panel. And behind that we have a background, right? So let's create an image inside. And this image will stretch across the entire asset. Where are our borders? The UI thing, right? There we go. So this chest panel, let's remove the image over here, and this should be blue. So we've just created a basic panel like this, and inside this panel here we will put a treasure chest. But before we do the treasure chest, one thing that would be nice to do is, because we have these beams at the back, right, of the beams at the back, and that might be something that's interesting to do. Okay, the beams are not always there, right? This video is hilarious. We have these things flying up. Maybe that's the first thing we can do, is to add a particle system. And this particle system is going to be, I'm just gonna call these shimmers. And the shimmers are going to be, where are they? It's right here. Is there a way to make this thing relative to... Let me just do a Google on this. Particle effects can make work. So for the shimmers effect, I'm gonna try and get the effect to align at the bottom of the element. The height is of no consequence. Or you know, maybe if we stretch it, it makes more sense. If we stretch that, then so here what I'm doing is I'm trying to make an effect that looks like the if you look at the Vampire Survivors effect, there are balls at the back, and that's what I'm trying to create. So they don't have to last so long. Just 2 seconds will be enough. And then we can vary the sizes as well. 50 to say 100. And varying shades of yellow, right? For the random it into colors, which is yellow. It's just a white yellow and darker yellow. And under renderer, I'm gonna just change the particle effect here to edit it. And I think that should be about it. And the other thing I would like to do actually as well is to... I think the speed can be faster. Yeah. Lower lifetime. And more particles. Let's see how this looks in game. Okay, it doesn't really work, huh? Because the particle effect is it's not rendering on the camera itself. It's rendering as an overlay, so we can't do that. Hi Robert, it's been a while. How are you doing? Thanks for joining the stream, by the way. So I made this I titled this a general stream, but then in the end I went back to making Vampire Survivors effect. Today we're working on creating a treasure chest effect, and after that's done, there's gonna be an article about it as usual, and there's gonna be also a video about it. And right now what I'm trying to do is figure out how to play particle effects on the canvas itself. And we might have to put this on the camera for this to work. I guess let's do that. Let's put this on the camera. Camera is right here. I'm a little more free this month because it's the school holidays, but you know, there's always a lot of projects, so time is always an issue, right? It's always not enough time. I think you're probably feeling the same way, but busy is good in a certain way, because if you don't have anything to do, I think that's even worse, right? Okay, so I've moved the canvas onto the camera. Let's have a look at this. So if we put it on the camera, then we will have to shift the canvas inwards, like so. Just make sure that it covers everything. Yes. Then we have something that we can work with. Effect is still really large though. Where is our reward canvas? So we'll have to also set the render layer, right, for the canvas to be foreground. Gotta be the largest thing. That's just so that it shows up. And then we've got to redesign the shimmers now because all the particles are way too big. 5, 10. And the width, radius, size, 10. Radius maybe 100. No, 100 is too big. 10. 15. 20. So this is how it looks like. And the size can use a reduction. Speed can be higher. And we can also move the layer over here to foreground with order layer of 10. What project is it? It's a Vampire Survivors project, it is. I don't mind having a look at the project, but no promises on whether I'll take it up or not. Be happy to look at the project. Well, I have a bunch of students who are always looking for experience. So I think any project that comes in will be great, and I guess in the future, once this community is more established, I mean once I grow beyond 5 viewers per stream, we can also create a system where, say, if you're interested in helping to work on projects, you know, I can always outsource the projects to the viewers or the patrons or something like that. Though for that we have to come up with a system so that, you know, like I have to know that you are capable of doing these projects before we embark on them. So where am I? We are creating the effects here, right? Let's see how the effect looks here. Chest panel, canvas. Take precedence over everything. 3. Sorting layer foreground. Oh, we've got a new subscriber, huh? The project is making casino game. Well, you can post the link here, I'll check it out after the stream. And well, I don't know, man. Like, it depends on a lot of I have to see the project first. It might not be a day, but if it's a day, that'd be great. Trying to figure out why this panel over here coming out of the top. You see that? This panel over here shouldn't be there. Oh, that's because, my bad, that's because we have canvas here. What did I change I set the value wrongly there. My canvas. 100 is foreground. Okay, I think we've got something going here now. So we have an effect that runs like this. The link is too long. I can see you tried to post some stuff. Or you can drop me what's the title of the job. Thank you so much, guys. So next thing I'll do is for the shimmers, right? I'm going to just use some like a range of particles. I'm not gonna just have one single particle. I'm just gonna put all the shiny particles from Kenny's pack into this area here, because we have a whole bunch of, we have like stars and stuff that we can put in. So we can just drop everything inside here and then we can randomize the shapes like so. And then start frame is gonna be then we can randomize the rotation here as well. And then what this will let us end up with is a whole bunch of stars like that. It shouldn't be animating. The stars should not be animating. So I'm gonna go to FPS here, set this to 0. And here we go. That's what we have. Some of the textures are really bright though. So I guess you can randomize the color as well. I mean the transparency as well. So it can be, we can halve the transparency for all the stars. And maybe do a size over lifetime as well. And perhaps color over lifetime, just to make it fade away. So if we make it fade away, then we can just have the stars come out at full color and then go away after a while, you know. And we can also add some rotation over lifetime to get the stars to rotate. I think this works pretty well, huh? Making a social casino game referencing from popular game like Coin Masters. Okay, let me just have a look at that. Whether monkeypox is real, I don't want to get banned from YouTube. I know I only have 5 viewers, but it's politically sensitive, you know. A lot of money is involved. I will search for the Upwork, the assignment from Upwork. Coinmaster is very simple. Making a social, you know, game projects. Especially for me. We'll see. Let me find the project first. Jobs. Making a social casino game referencing from popular game. Coinmasters. So just from a quick glimpse of this project, right? This part isn't simple. So connecting to existing sites introduce a lot of complexity, because then that means that when you connect, then there's probably also other features that you will have to implement that will recognize who you are and save your progress, and that's where the complexity comes in. So the core game mechanic involves a slot machine that players spin to win coins, shields, or attack opportunities. Spins regenerate over time or can be purchased via in-app purchases. So then we have village building as well. So this is where things are complicated as well, because we will have to create like a whole bunch of data structures for how the village builds. And if you have citizens in the village and they're moving around, then that also adds another layer of complexity to it. And then we have attack and raid systems as well. This is complex as well. So $5,000 actually for this project is a little, I'm sorry, but it's not enough money, you know. It's quite a lot of work. There's gifting. Look at that. There's sending and receive free spins. You have to set up a database for that. Then we have daily, weekly, special events that offer players unique challenges and rewards. Multiplayer tournaments where players compete for top spots on the leaderboard. We have main screen, village screen, cloud save as well. So just the server itself is gonna cost us a couple of $100. So if you want to have like just a simple database that you can work with, right, that takes a day to set up. And if you want to deploy ready-made databases, that is if you go on Amazon, that will cost about $30 a month, just the database itself. And you probably will have to you probably have to subscribe to some other services for payment, and just for APIs you may have to pay for them as well. So just off the just the hosting services itself, I would say you need to have a couple of $100 at the ready. And even if you go for the cheapest option, if you develop this game over say 2 months, that will cost say $100 just from paying the hosting services. There's quite a lot of stuff that's involved. I would take this job if it was, let me see, I'd probably charge like 10-20k for it, because this is gonna take a couple of months to create. It's maybe the system itself, right? If I were to work on this full time, right, it takes me about a month, and a month is a little pushing it. I will have to do a lot of overtime. It's not something that can be done within a day. How much does it cost? How much does it cost? The costing will be, yeah, about 10 to 20, and that's on the lower end of the spectrum. That's assuming we can finish everything in 2 months. Like if I work full time on this, 1 month to develop it, 1 month to fix bugs, and then we can roll it out. If it was part time, then, or let's say if the client takes some time to get back to you, this can take upwards to like 6 months to create. So from the back and forth and everything, right? Or like say when you ask the client a question, if it takes say a couple of days to get back to you, or when you work on a feature, you realize that the feature is not fully fleshed out, and then you have to work with the client to flesh out the features. It's quite a lot of work. Okay, let's continue with the Vampire Survivors, the chest effect. Yeah, it's not simple, right? Like some games they look simple, but there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Okay, so where was I? So the next thing create perhaps would be, so we have these balls, and I've made the balls better. And then next thing we want to do is where is it? We have these beams at the background as well. And the beams can be done with, well, with a beam texture. Let me just add one more particle effect here. We have shimmers. So the beam will be under this canvas as well. So pretty under here. So this is the beam. So the beam is gonna be simple, and the beam is going to be, I'm gonna go to the renderer here and just uncap the max particle size. And for the particle system, we have a beam from the freeze effect that we've done. So I'm just gonna make this particle like really large, like 100, 100 is too big, 10. It's rotated 90 degrees. And I only need one of them. And it's gonna be in the same place all the time. So this beam here is something that, so it's here now, and then we can make it, oh, it's additive already, so that's great. We can have it be the color that we want, so maybe a yellow color is what we want here, right? And a little bit of transparency. Transparency actually is fine. So then we have color over lifetime, and just have it glow. %, 0. So we can have the lifetime be, say, like over 5. So we'll have effects like these. Oh gosh, look at that. What is the future content? Can you pay me to complete Harvest Moon, but just for you? Well, that we can discuss that actually. So you can go to our contact us page, terrascore.com/contact, and you can let us know what you need, and then we'll see if we're able to help you. So Harvest Moon is in charge. Jonathan is in charge of that. Jonathan, if you see, he's posted a couple of posts on the Farming RPG forums. So if you need help with that, drop us a message there, and I'll forward it to Jonathan, and then we'll see whether he's willing and able to help, because he's doing his degree now, so he has to find the time for it. So probably in December, when the school holidays come along, then he'll be in a better position to help you. But just send it in, and then we'll let you know. Thank you, Yuki. Appreciate your support. I think I just saw an email that we have a new Patreon, and looks like that's you, huh? Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So what we're gonna do as well is we're gonna roll out a leveling system on the blog as well, and that's meant to help to build our community and get more engagement from our viewers and from our Patreons, you know, like, because we have a lot of questions on the blog, and if it wasn't just us posting the answers, then that would be great. So with the experience system, what you can do is we have viewers who come from countries where their currencies are a lot smaller. So we have viewers from, say, the Philippines, from Indonesia, or from Vietnam, where they have trouble paying that 10 USD per month. So for them, if you participate in the forums, so let's say if you're a viewer and you find that the Patreon fees are very expensive, then when the experience system rolls out, just respond to questions on the forum, help out the other viewers, and you get points for that, and then you can exchange those points for Patreon access. And every now and then we also will have stuff that we need help with, like, say, with subtitles, or with some parts of our content, say we need vetting. So when we have those things, we will make a post on YouTube as well and on Patreon, and if you help us out with that, we'll gift you a month of Patreon. So for those of you who may find this too expensive, then there are still other ways that you can use to access our content. Yes, Senka was helping us with our subtitles. I just realized I haven't responded to you, right? Let me check the subtitles after the stream and I'll get back to you. Can you add the Patreon and the contact on chat? So you can contact us at terrascore.com/contact. Okay, so where was I? I was doing this, right? What if I pre-warm this? Does that work? Pre-warming makes it so much better. So start live time. Let's make it say 10 and 0.1. I'm just trying to figure out how this beam will work. This beam time. So then with the beam and the shimmers, I think everything is gonna look pretty whack, you know. Alright. So we've got something going on here. You're welcome, Freeze. So what next? Next would be the treasure chest itself, right? And the coins. How does he animate the coins, man? Okay, we have the effects here. Let's drop in the treasure chest. Okay, treasure chest. Beam. Let's ignore the beam. It's fine. So the treasure chests themselves, right? What's an XCF file? Oh, that's a game file. Never mind, let's just go for the 64 by 64 one then. I'm gonna pack everything into a single sprite sheet. Like this. And export this. So this should be treasure chest. Let me just compress the asset as well. Get more efficiency of this. UI, let's call it UI treasure chest. This is what appears in the UI, right? And we slice it. Multiple. Apply. let's just plop this very big treasure chest down. So panel, I'm just gonna put the chest over here. Image. And we want the sprite to have no anti-aliasing, so the filter mode will be point. So this makes the image sharper but more pixelated, which is totally fine. Have I ever tried to make an AR app? Yes, but it didn't publish any of the apps. AR is I haven't explored a lot of it, so I cannot tell you a lot about it. But you can. Facebook has an app that's called MetaSpark. You can look into that. So you can create very simple. You can create very complex AR applications very quickly if you use the application. It's you can create games with that as well. But I'm not an AR person, you know. I'm not really a fan of AR, so I haven't looked into it a whole lot. I'm sure that it's fun. It's quite fun. If you get familiar with it. So what I'm gonna do here is to make the chest responsive as well. And we are going to make this preserve the aspect ratio of itself. Oh, well, close. There you go. Robert does AR. So he probably can tell you more, like much more about it than I can. I haven't done a lot of AR stuff. Sorry about that. So the treasure chest will have a cap top, right? Let's duplicate this, and then this will be the treasure chest. Cover is gonna go under the treasure chest, and this actually fits perfectly. And then we can animate this pretty nice as well. This will be stretched across, covering the whole thing. So when it opens, I just have to do this, right? So the other thing I've got to do, right, I've got to do some editing to the image as well, because I will need the treasure chest to have a front and a back section. Let me explain, let me show you what I mean. Just get into the treasure chest here. I'm gonna move this guy. Right over here. And the reason for that is because I will have to move this section up here. So the treasure chest will be consisting of two halves, and it having two halves will allow me to control what is the front and what is the back of the chest. So this is going to be really important. I'm going to move this up here. So this will be the front of the chest, and then this will be the back. So let me just save the edited version. And then let me just compress the resource again. And we can re-import this. Delete this. This will be UI treasure multiple. And then grid by cell count 3 by 2. So here we have the treasure chest, and we need to have the bottom. Then we have the top. So we have the back side of the treasure chest and the front side. And on top of that we have the cover. No, the back should be here, right? This should be the back, and the front goes on top. And then the cover goes on top as well, right? That's front. And then we have the cover. So we can very easily animate this, because if you look at the game, when the treasure chest appears, it wiggles a little bit, and then the button appears. So when it opens, we will need to have line renderers inside as well. That will be complicated. Let's figure out the lines first, shall we? So the lines will be, we can actually use UI images, right? And then we can just stretch the image like the whole way. Should be here. So if you remove the cover, the image should be like this. And the anchors 0.45, 0.55, 0.4, 0.4, 0.6. The beams have a color as well, and the beam colors are, let's disable beam 2 first. Wow, and we can actually use the beam sprite, right? That makes so much sense. Can use the beam sprite and have the beam go from 0.35, 0. This should be 0, 10. So we have the beam come out from here, and then we can rotate it. No, that doesn't work. Oh my. So the beam needs to have a bunch of weapons. It needs to animate all the weapons, right? So the beam here is gonna have a color. I'll just make it blue. And inside the beam, we're just gonna add a whole bunch of images. This. And I'm gonna just put 10 weapon sprites inside randomly. So we have one, this should be width. So what I'm doing here is I'm just lining the beam with different kinds of weapons. So I want and then we just want to have as many weapons as possible. This should be 2, 3. Oh yeah, I haven't updated, but it shouldn't be a problem if you are following our tutorials to use the newer version, but some buttons may be in different places. Because we've made this project in 2020, so I'm just sticking to it because there are no major problems with version 2020. Armor. What other weapons do we have? I don't remember. This will be 0.4, 0.5. Yeah, it's been 4 years. But you know, it's really okay because we have, like, whenever you update Unity, like, most of the code base stays the same. You just have some newer features which we are not using. So the old features will still be here, but then you just have more components, or you have UI changing places. In certain cases, you may get more efficiency as well. You can give it a try. You can use a newer version and give it a try and follow the tutorials. You won't run into any issues. Or you may run into small issues and then just make a post on the forums and we'll help you with it. Because if we keep updating the project, it's going to be very messy for us as well. 0.8, 0.9, and then we have 0.9, 1. Why did I choose Unity instead of Godot or even Unreal? So I worked with Unreal, I also worked with Unity. Unity is a lot easier to use. Godot I haven't tried, so I can't tell you anything about it. So I teach in a school. So when I first started working in 2015. That's quite a while ago, right? So Unity at the time was the engine of choice. It was the most popular engine, and because I teach Unity at the time, so I've been teaching it for 9 years now. So this is the engine I'm most familiar with. I shouldn't have a problem moving to Godot, but then I need to find time to get familiar with it, and I haven't had time as well. So I'm actually trying to look for people who are able to help me to run Godot tutorials. So I have some people in mind, but we have to see how our arrangement works out. So it may or may not happen, but if it happens, we will have a Godot tutorial. You will see a lot of YouTubers changing Godot as well, and that's because Godot is becoming more and more popular in the past like 2 to 3 years, right? So I think it's because it's faster and because it's free. So for developers who want to keep all the money to themselves, Godot should be especially appealing option. So Unity compared to Unreal, I can just tell you how Unity is like versus Unreal. Unreal is really hard to get started with because, well, I've used Unreal for a little bit, and most of my experience with Unreal was with Unreal Engine 3. And Unreal Engine 3 is it's really hard to learn because 15 years ago, 20 years ago, right, there was very little documentation for game engines. So when you wanted to learn a game engine, a lot of it meant that you had to go and read the source code. So source code would be like, say right now, if you want to learn how to use let's say rigid bodies, right? So rigid bodies are a Unity component, right? So if you were to be working in Unreal, right, and you wanted to learn how to use rigid bodies, you essentially had to go into the program, and you had to find the source code for the rigid body. And do we have rigid bodies here? Yeah, so something like this, and then you had to just go and read the source code, and from there you had to figure out how to use the engine, because they have comments inside the source code, right? So you can actually read the source code from here, and then you can find out how to use, or how the component is designed to be used. So that was my experience with Unreal. That was almost 20 years ago now. I worked, it's not 20 years ago, 14 years ago. I worked with Unreal, and at that time there was very little documentation. So there was very little information online about how to use Unreal and how to modify it to get the games that you wanted. So then what I spent many weekends just reading through the source code. It was pretty painful, but I've learned a lot, because Unreal, although it's complex, it's actually a very well coded engine, and it's actually quite efficient. So I learned a lot of design principles from there. Because why do I say design principles? Because to anything that you're coding, right, even if it's a small app, if your code is organized well, it's gonna make your job really easy. A lot of the problems that come in programming come because there's just misorganization, you know. Like when people code their stuff, they're not they haven't really planned it out properly. So then when that happens, it becomes very difficult for you to scale your project upwards. So that's where most of the challenge comes from when people are coding. So when I was learning Unreal, I saw a lot of how they coded how they organized their classes and all their systems, and it was organized in a very efficient manner, and that was how they were able to get the engine to such a level of complexity. So Godot, if I ever get exposed to it, if I ever explore it, I will tell you about it, probably on a stream or something. Hope that makes sense. Oops. No problem. So here I have a beam, and challenge would be to get it to animate. So we have R, we have animations. Let me just create a new folder for the UI animation. And we have so let's create a new animation for you. Treasure. So then the animation for the beam, right, means that I'll have to add an animator here. Output animator controller. Wow, how am I gonna make a video of this, man? This is so complicated. Never mind. Let's work it out. Animation. So what's gonna happen with the whip is beam cycling first. So the whip is gonna go from here all the way here. Let's go to 30 frames a second. Then we can move this closer together. So we have the whip now. And how many frames is that? 1, 2, 3, 6, 10 frames. So the knife will go to the same location, right? Minus 5, 6. Minus 6, 4. The other thing I have to account for is the animation position as well. You see, it looks pretty simple, right, on the game, but when you start making it, there's actually so much complexity to it. Linear, no, linear is wrong. That. Both tangents. So we have to make the animation linear, so that they don't mash up together. So linear here and linear here as well. Next one is fire one, right? And the fire wand is going to go here. And it's going all the way to the top as well. Is it possible for me to implement multiplayers in Metroidvania series? Do you mean local play multiplayer, meaning on the same screen, or is it, or are you looking for multiplayer on different screens? Network multiplayer will be more complex, and we have to wait until Unity 6 for that, because they have a multiplayer online feature. Because right now Unity's multiplayer features are not there yet. I mean, they're there, but you have to download an extension. So Unity is building a new native multiplayer module for that. But it's possible. We can do that. We can also do that for the Vampire Survivors series, actually. So perhaps this is something that we can look into. But for the Metroidvania series, I also want to just touch up on the code base and make it more well organized, just like the Vampire Survivors one. That way, you know, we have a robust system, and then when we have a robust system that's stable, that makes it easier for us to stack on new things afterwards. So let's make this linear as well. Linear. So now we have 3 animations, right? 3 weapons going like this. And then next one would be armor. And just the same process. I much prefer doing particle effects, just for the record, because it's easier to do, you know? We don't have to manually, by hand, move everything. We have lightning ring. Lightning ring should be here now. It's here. But that is for, yeah, that's right. So for Vampire Survivors, we're actually very close to getting the base done. Once the treasure chest is set up and I put in a new spawning system, then there's gonna be a whole lot of stuff that you can create with this set of codes. And then from there we can explore other things like multiplayer, or you know, things like buffs. You know, Vampire Survivors, you have coins and then you can use it to buy to buy boosts, right? We can do that as well. Then we have to implement a saving system. But let's get the painful animation for the treasure chest done first. So the armor, the health, the area goes up here. Then we have move speed. And we have X. And finally we have Bracer. Bracer is already on top. So we have kinda something going on here, and then we have to work out the rest of the animation. So for the Bracer, right? The Bracer is going to teleport back to the bottom like this. X goes up. So everything moves back one step. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So everything's cycling through. And then the next thing I want to do is, so for the Bracer itself, right? The Bracer will go back, and the first frame is gonna teleport back to the bottom like this. And this teleportation, we have to go to the curves. Because this teleportation is going to be instant, so this is going to be constant like this. And the right tangent is going to be linear. So, oh sorry, this is the wrong we're doing for the Bracer, right? Forgot to. So for the Bracer, we will have to record the position. And move it back here. Nope, wrong. Should be in the first frame, right? So the animation for the Bracer for the first frame is going to be constant. And from here, the right tangent is going to be linear. And it's gonna go up. The top like this. So that means that the Bracer is gonna teleport back and then go up along the rest of the weapon. So now we have to implement this for the rest of the weapons as well. We have to make sure to make all the lines that they have linear, like so. And so once it's at the top, going to animate back to its original position. So once at the top, the next frame, it's going to teleport back to the bottom. And this will be constant on the right tangent. And from here, it's supposed to go back to its original position, which means that when it gets there, it should be 0 and 0. So this will be where it actually is. And of course, the right tangent should be linear. The left tangent should be linear as well. Left tangent linear. I don't know what's going on. Oh, left tangent, sorry. Left tangent is linear. So we have to just apply the same logic to all of the rest. Area is... Okay, size delta is not needed. So let's go to armor. Armor is next. So for armor, we have the following animation. Goes up. It's got to make this linear, and the left also linear. And then from here, we go one frame forward, and then we teleport this guy back to the bottom. And then what else? This is constant. No, it's the wrong one. Constant is on the right side. And then from the constant position here, it goes back to its original location. Like this. And then again, we have to make this linear. So the left is linear. We have to make the right linear and then the left linear as well. Left. So one by one, we just gotta apply all of them. So the X here, right tangent linear, left tangent. Sorry, right tangent linear, left tangent. So one frame forward, we teleport the X back to its original position. And we have to make it constant, right tangent constant. And then it goes back to its original position. Delta Y doesn't have to change. So these are, oh, it's already constant. So as you see, as I start to get everything set up, then everything starts to make sense. I'm just gonna do it for the fire one. Fire one goes from here to the top, and then it's teleport back. to the bottom. And over here, the right tangent is constant. And after that, next frame is just going to return back to its original position. And again, the size delta y, we can just ignore it. Health. It's linear. Left tangent linear. Goes back here. The right tangent is constant. And then it goes back to its original position. So the knife gets here, then it has to teleport back. The last frame. Oh, the knife is all the way at the bottom. It's gotta go back to the bottom here. And the teleportation here is constant. And lightning ring, same thing. Linear. Linear. And then teleports back. And this teleportation is constant. And then it goes back to its original position. Move speed, same thing, right tangent. Right tangent, linear. Left tangent, linear. And then it teleports back. Here. And it goes back to its original position. I think we can split up this tutorial into several parts, you know, if I were to put this up as a proper tutorial. It's gonna be a little bit of a challenge to do, but everything is almost there. The last thing is the whip. So the whip goes up and it's supposed to come back down, right? So in the last frame, it goes back here to 0. And it's constant. So what we have is it's finally done. So happy. And then if you want to slow it down, right, you can reduce the frame rate. And this slows everything down. Okay, we can't reduce the frame rate. I'm sorry. If we reduce the frame rate, we have to spread out the frames. But let me just try that later. I'm making my game using Metroidvania as a guide. I need a section with players swimming in water and 2D. How should I do it? Any ideas? For water, right? Let me think. We actually have a tutorial on water. Let me just try and find that for you, huh? So I'm gonna head over to my channel. We have a series called Bounce Tales. Right here, and I think we have a part on water. So that can be do we have water? Coin pickups, springs and moving platforms, camera movement and bounce. So what we can do, right, is instead of giving you a video, what I can do is I can send you the source files. We actually have water set up and everything, but we haven't made a tutorial for that. So maybe you can drop me a message just to make sure that I remember. Just drop me a message on the contact form. I will pass you the project files for the Bounce Tales, and then you can just refer to how we do water inside here. And then if you have any questions, you can make a post on the forums, and yeah, and then we will keep in touch via the forums from there on out. Let me know if this makes sense for you. So now we have this beam here, and it's cycling through all the weapons. If we want to make everything slower, we will have to spread everything out a little bit more, so that we are able to reduce the number of frames. So if we do that, then, and we set the samples to 15, this is going to give us something like this. Oh no, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Let's keep it at 30 then. Or maybe we can just slow down the animation rate. We want to slow this down for me. It's a little too fast, right? Okay, you know what? We have the beam, so that's actually okay. The braces positioning is a little off, because the braces should be here. That's where the braces should be. But then we have to move the X. In that case, you know, bracer is here. It means the X. Never mind, let's just leave it as it. You know, the bracer is aligned properly now. Why is the X one frame fast? Is it because the curves are wrong? This fire one is supposed to be here. What's the next item? That's the knife. Knife is missing. Knife is supposed to be here. I think it looks a lot better now, right? There are no gaps. No obvious gaps anyway. There is a small gap with the bracer. And maybe that's because the bracer is misplaced. Bracer should be here at this point. And what should be below? Just X, right? And then next is the move speed thing. Should be up here. And then area is next. And then health. Why does everything break here? Huh? Next is lightning ring, right? Health is here, health goes up. The top. Health goes to the top from here. It's all good. Then it goes back to the bottom. It goes up. You know, this kind of works. There are a few kinks in animation, but this kind of works here. The trick is that you have to just go through everything frame by frame and make sure that all the positions are in the correct place. I can't figure out why this is jacking up. because the health thing is in the right position, but then maybe it's the curves. Yeah, there we go, it's the curves. I didn't make the curve linear. So if the curve is linear, everything should work fine. So the lightning ring's curves may not be linear as well, or it's just the wrong place, huh? Then next is armor, right? Armor should be here and up. And fire 1 is next. And fire 1 is the wrong position, should be here. Yeah, so this makes everything work fine now. So we have a beam. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make the beam have numbered items instead of calling them like weapon names and stuff. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then these I'll have to rename them. How do I rename them? This is maybe I can't rename them now. Number 1 is whip. So whip is 1. And number 2 is knife. No, number 2 is bracer. Oh, number 2 is knife. Knife. Number 2. Third is fire 1. Fourth is armor. Five is lightning ring. Six is health. 7 is area. 8 is move speed. 9 is X. And number 10 is bracer. So then we can use code to replace these icons accordingly. The main thing here is that we have an animation that works now. So then for the rest of the beams, once we have a working beam, right, we can just duplicate the beam a few times like this. And just, rotate the beam upwards like that. So beam number 2. And again, it just runs, right? So we have to always make sure that the update mode is unscaled time as well. Otherwise, this will not work. So this will be minus 96. Number 3. So let's see how this looks like actually. Let's go in game and this looks pretty nice, huh? If not for the fact that the beams are way too big. I guess we can move the treasure chest down. What happens if we have a bigger screen? If we put the chest in the middle, but we have a bigger screen, right? Beam 1, beam 2, beam 3, treasure chest. Beams are way too big. 4, 6, 0, 0. Maybe I can add bloom or glow to items so it becomes shiny. Yeah, that can be later on when the item comes out, and that is what I'll do. For now, I just have to figure out how to make this adaptive, you know, so that it looks better. There is a lag to the animation. There is a lag to the animation for the beam. The braces in the wrong place. I guess another option that we have is we can use code to cycle through everything. These animations seem to be a little inefficient at this point. Actually, I have a crazy. We can use particle effects as well, you know. I have a crazy idea. That might work. It really starts to be the same. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I think there are a lot of like little features over here that it may look simple, right? But then when you start diving into it, you realize that there's quite a bit of complexity to it. And then that's the challenge when it comes to me creating tutorial videos as well, you know, because how do we cover it in such a way that it makes that it's easy to understand. What if I don't use the animation and instead we just hide everything, and instead we can just put a particle effect. on this. So if I just put particle effects, if I just put particle effects here, right? And move it down. What I can do is just make the particle effect point upwards. Like this. 1, 0. Shape will be an edge. This. Emission will be 10. Radius is 0. And the sorting layer is foreground. How about 5? And then what we want to do is just under spreadsheet animation, we can just add a whole bunch of sprites for all our weapons. That kind of works, right? So let's say if I drop in just a couple of weapons here. Then we can just make the FPS 0. And then start frame, we can just random out. Then we have a whole bunch of items appearing like this. So the only problem is that now for this to appear, no, this doesn't work. I mean, we can reduce the rate, but we can increase the speed and make everything space out more. But I guess we have to animate this, huh? Nope, this doesn't work. We have to go back to the animator. So if we go back to the animator, we've got to make sure that this whole thing works. Beam animation. it's really complex. Do you have something to share some components with other projects to avoid doing it again from scratch? So this is the first time I'm trying to do the animation over here, so I don't have other components. But what I'm trying to do here is once I get the beam right, I want the beam to be able to, the reason why I'm spending a little bit more time is because I want to make sure that the beam is translatable to other mediums, in the sense that if I change the screen size, I want the beam to still work. If I change the orientation of the beam, I also want it to still work. I don't want the beam to break if, let's say, if the screen size changes a little, you know, or if I move it somewhere else and it breaks. So I'm taking a little bit more time to fashion the beam and make sure that it's stable. But it's just I've made a mistake with the animation for some of the items, I think, which is why, like, right now we are, like, it's weirding out a little bit. It's for me right now, it's just right now it's just like eyeballing issue. I'm just missing out. I'm just not seeing something that I should be seeing. Do we need this frame? Yeah. So if we don't have the frame, then there's no pause, right? Okay, just let me run through everything once more, yeah? Now my X seems to be in the wrong place. Sorry, this is the bracer, right? What is the X? Bracer. It's 10, so X is 9. And the X is supposed to be all the way at the top, right? Like this. And 8 is supposed to be at the top here. Perhaps it's just some alignment issues, huh? 7 goes on top here as well. And 6 here. 5 is here. 4 is here. Yeah, it's just an alignment thing, huh? 3. And then we have 2. And 1. So now we have a gap at the bottom again. Eight is the 9th. 9th should be here. Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna redo the animation. You don't want to share the whole project. So what I'm gonna do is, that's a great question. What I'm gonna do is, once I get this up, I will write a script for it as well, and then this whole thing will be a prefab, and you can just plug it into your project and you'll be able to use it. That's not a problem at all, because notice that when I created this whole thing, I created it under a canvas like that. This canvas is independent, so it's just gonna be able to work right out of the box. You don't have to do anything else. So once you grab this prefab, you will be able to use it right out of the gate. So perhaps I can change all of the images to squares. That will make a bit more sense, right? Then you can just replace the squares with the sprites that you want. I'm gonna redo all the animations here because I'm getting lost. So I'm just zoom out. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this goes to 18, right? Okay, let me just start over again and start animating them one by one. The whip goes all the way to the top here. And then it goes back to its own slot afterwards. Without any need to change the size. So it goes up, comes back down. Goes up, goes back. And then for the curve, this curve is going to be linear, and the right tangent is going to be constant. So it's going to go up and go back. Okay, that's the first item. Second item is going to be the same. The beam is independent as well. Like if you just want to keep, yes, the beam is going to be independent as well. It's not going to be tied to a certain graphic. It's just gonna be you'll be able to plug in your own graphics and then the whole thing will work. Actually, it's a great idea, right? Like I can just package this whole thing and into a prefab, and then you don't have to go through the trouble of creating animation for yourself. Because the animation is a little bit volatile, man. So the first item reaches, second item is gonna be the knife is gonna be on top here, right? So the knife goes here, and then it goes back. One frame. Here. That should be 0. Oh, my bad. -74. So it starts at the bottom of the chest first. That makes sense. So the knife, it's gonna go back all the way to the bottom. And then it's gonna go back to its original position afterwards. Size delta not needed. So it goes up, goes back down, and it comes up. And then again we have to smooth out the curves for number 2. So the journey upwards is gonna be linear. I think I've got it now. I missed a couple of keyframes just now. Goes back down. So on going back down, this is gonna be constant. And then linear back up. And then next is number 3. Number 3 will be 2 frames before, goes up. So it goes up, teleports back, next frame. and goes back to its original spot here. I did not follow anything. What's the line representing? Okay, great question. Let me do the next animation and then I'll show you. So this warrants a lot of explanation. I will if I have to explain this, I probably have to release another video and explain what the dope sheet means and what the curves mean, and then from there, once everything is explained, and this will make more sense. This is actually a great exercise to help people understand how animations work in Unity. So whenever you animate stuff, right? When you're working with animations in Unity, it's called keyframe animation. Keyframe animation just means that you set a start and end position, and then Unity fills in the blanks for you. All right. So in between the start and the end, the movement is controlled by curves. So in between keyframes, if you want to control how the object moves, you have to look at the curve. So for example, over here, right? Let me just shut off everything else and just have the 3 items. Okay, so you will see that the fire one. Oh, I shouldn't have recorded that. Let me just unrecord and shut off everything. So you see the fire one, right? It goes up, right? And then it goes up because I have set a keyframe here, and I've also set a keyframe here. So then Unity fills in the blanks for us. All right. In between, right? What happens with the fire one is controlled by the curves that you see right here. So the curves, if I change the curve, you see this changes in the way that one moves. So then what I'm doing is that because the speed is supposed to be constant, right? I'm removing the curves by making this linear. And then after it reaches its destination, right? I want you to teleport back because right now there's animation. See that? So then to teleport it back, I have to change it to constant. So basically this thing reaches here and it just goes back down and then it comes back up again. So then we just have to make the same pattern for all of the items. Then this will get the items going like this. So then one by one, if we animate all the items, then you'll see a steady stream of items appearing later on. Oh, you can't see the bottom of the tab. Oh yeah. The patrons are blocking it, right? Let me show you the bottom of the tab. The bottom of the tab is, it has dope sheet and curves right here. So then this is just what's missing. Right? The rest of the stuff is showing. Yeah, it's just the dope sheet and the curves not showing. Okay, anyway, no worries, because I will post. I'm gonna post this whole prefab, but given that I spent 3 hours on this and I'm just getting started, I may not finish everything on time. So let me just go faster. Let me see. I'm gonna try and do as much as possible. Hopefully I can finish everything by 4 PM. That's the target. So up, down, and back to its original position. And number 5. Okay, so the 4th thing here, I'm gonna have to do the curves as well. Almost forgot. Right tangent is constant, left tangent linear. Right. Sorry, left tangent linear, right tangent. Number 5. Same thing here. The 5 goes up to the top. Goes back down. And back to its original position. And then we gotta do the curves thing again. The 5. Right is linear, left linear, and right is constant. Right linear, and left linear. So the items are in a specified order. Yes, they are in a specified order. So we can add a script to change the icons later on. So we can select the icons ourselves using a script. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a fixed graphic, but then we have to use scripts for them. We cannot be doing this in animation. Number 6. So item number 6. Again, it goes up, it's down, and then goes back to its original position. And then let's do the curves again. Curves for number 6. Linear. Let me just drag this up so that more of the animation window is seen. And then over here, I'm sharing my whole screen now, so you should be able to see what's going on. Constant, right click, linear. Okay, almost there. Now this is item number 7. So number 7 starts from here. No, we can't have dynamic numbers of objects. We can only have 10. But we can always change the icons every time it cycles, you know. So it's not a problem. Like we can have 10 objects, but we can make it look like there are more than 10. So every time the object goes back to the chest, it can change to a different icon. We can make something like this happen as well. So it goes up, goes back down. And then returns back. Okay. Then same thing, we go to the curves. Right, linear, left, linear, right, constant, left, linear. I think we've got something wrong here because this goes back. It's way ahead of everything else. Getting this method is not gonna work, sorry. Because if I change the screen size, right, then the beam changes as well. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. Spend an hour doing this and realize it's not gonna work. Because once I change the screen size, see, everything breaks. So we can't use animations for this. We've got to use code then. So it means that even if you make the component or a feature for the cycling beam, you still have to manually, no, you don't have to manually add or remove the objects. You just have to assign. So that we'll create a function that will tell the beam how many weapons you can use. So then the beam will fire all the weapons, will just start spawning all the weapons upwards, you know. My problem now is that we just wanna, so you can think of these icons as just squares. Don't think of them as actual icons. I'm just putting the icons there just for the visuals. But in actuality, what I want to do is these icons are placeholders, and then we will start replacing them with code later on. Animation is not gonna work though. I'm a little bit lost now, thinking of how else I can do this. I guess we can use a script for that and animate everything via scripts. Or do we have a vertical layout group? Let me just use the vertical layout group and disable the lower center. So if we have a vertical layout group, can we animate this? why don't I want to do a script for animations? Because that's a great question. Let me try and put into words my thought process here. So if we make a script, right, having a script means that there's going to be more setup required. And I guess what I want to do is just to try and keep this as simple as possible. Like, so when we add scripts, right, scripts are fine and they work well. It's just that scripts add an additional layer of complexity. And because this project is meant to be shared, and I want to make videos on it, the simpler I make the process, the easier my job will be. So if I make a script, it's gonna make things harder to explain. It's gonna make the entire prefab more complicated, and then when you use it, there's gonna be more setup required. So that's my thoughts on it at the moment. I may be wrong, so I may be wrong about this. Maybe a script is the simplest way, but I just want to explore a couple of other options available first. So for example, right, one reason why I don't want to use script is, for example, if I have a vertical layout group here and I'm able to scroll this thing, then I have no need for a script, to see. So that's one of the reasons why a script may not be the best idea. Maybe I'll get back to the beam later on, you know, since we have everything else. I'll just hide the beam and can do the other effects first. Then come back to the beam afterwards. Maybe we can do the trails first. The trail would be, again, it comes out from the treasure chest, right? Oh, but even the trail as well, huh? It will be even the trail as well, it's gonna be a particle effect. So some parts of it will be in front, some parts of it will be behind. So when I talk about the trail, what I'm talking about is this thing here. These arcs over here. Actually, those trails are a little hard to do as well. So this trail goes like this. Like, this is actually animations as well. Okay, so what this thing is it's just a trail renderer. Like this. So we have a trail. And these will be like, let's call them the 3 beams. So then we just have to find an appropriate material for it. I'm gonna use the additive beam over here. And when it flies around, it's just gonna leave a trail like that. And then we can reduce the time to say 1 second and have the width of the trail be like this. So then after that, we can just animate the trail. So like, it'll be like this. And then we want to increase the end cap 5, so that we have a round cap. And then we can change the color to yellow. Like this. So the victory beams will be here, it starts here, and foreground. But they all have the same problem though, and the problem that they all have is that they all are not responsive. Okay, let's just do something with it first. Let's add a width, make it this, and it's gonna I mean, one thing that we can do to fix the issue of different screen sizes is that we can actually just fix the game to a certain aspect ratio, but I kind of feel like that's cheating, you know. I mean, we can always just set it to like 19201080, but that's kind of cheating. And we can use a canvas scaler to fix everything as well. That's one way we can do things. So for the animation for the victory beams, it's just adding a different animator and then just creating a different animation file. So this will be treasure beam, cycling, and then we have animator. Where's animator? Animator controller. So this will be victory beam. And victory beams will have an animation, right? So victory beam here, let's add this here. Then we can start animating it. So let's place the victory beam dead center. Let me just create the beam here. Victory beam. And then rail. Renderer. Color is gonna be a little transparent. And the color is also gonna be yellow. And then this will be beam material. Order and layers will be foreground, 10,000. So now that we have all the values set up, time will be 1, end cap will be 5, corner vertices will be 5 as well. So let's create an animation for this. So this will be victory. So we can start moving it around. So we can have animations like this, and if we shorten the trail, so clearly there are some that it looks a little janky. We can try using the regular line renderer. There's still some overlap. What can we do about that? Cap. So whenever we increase the width, I guess we run into some problems. What if we time? Okay, it's the same issue. So maybe to go around that, just make the whole thing opaque. That solves the problem, right? So we can do something like this for the trails, and then for the victory beam, we can just scale everything to the negative. So we can make a duplicate of this. And for the duplicate, we can just scale this to the negative. And this should play... Nope, doesn't play the other way around. Victory beams. Victory beam cycling. So if we mirror this animation, does that go the other way? Nope, still doesn't go the other way. Well, if it doesn't go the other way, then I guess we will need to create a new animation for that then. Beam first. Let's just go for one more animation here. Big tree beam cycling. So for number 2, I'm just gonna copy everything from number 1, but with reverse values. So this will be 199. This is minus 148. This is 190. Minus 194. 319. Four six two. Minus 147. Everything is not recorded. 199. Okay, let's see. Small animations here. Since 160. And 0. Well, hey, at least we have the 2 extra trails working. Can't I make a completely random animation instead of a manual line? I can, but then I will have to come up with a formula for it. So the reason why I'm doing the animation manually is so that where's the other animation? Give me a moment. Big tree beam. Big tree beam reverse. This will be here. It's be cycling through. Where's my other victory beam? It's not appearing. Victory beam reverse. I'll explain the randomization thing later on. So if we manually create animation, and at least we have this thing going on here. If you want to use a formula to do that, I suspect that Vampire Survivors doesn't randomize it as well. They just stagger the animation. If you want to randomize it, right, you will have to, let me show you if you want to randomize it, you will have to create a formula that can chart the cost of the beam. Let me explain to you. So for example, a very simple, a very generic formula that you can use to simulate positions is to use the sine curve. Sine curve gives us a wave like that. So then you can add different things to change different things about the sine curve. Yeah, so you can come up with a formula to change how the sine curve moves. And then when you want to randomize the sine curve, right, what you are essentially doing is you're randomizing the value here, or the value here, or the value here. So if you randomize any one of the values anywhere, then this will give you a random motion, but the random motion still has to follow a pattern, you see. So then you will still need to come up with a formula. So the sine curve, if you wanted the thing to mathematically to be done mathematically and to have a little bit of randomness to it, you have to come up with a formula for it that will cause it to move in a pattern like this. And then after maybe how many cycles, and it circles back to its original position. It's just easier for us to create this using animations, if that makes sense. So then once I mirror, it actually looks a little bit like the Vampire Survivors one. It's just less elaborate. And then after that, the last thing is getting the beams to work. I'm surprised that it took me this long to figure out the beams. How can I do the beams? I guess we have to use scripts, huh? Yeah, so if you have to use a script to do the whole animation. I guess for the beam, we'll have to come up with a script for that. Don't think there's any way around it anymore. Anyway, just go. Oh, we have to animate it using either a script or using a animator. But if we're gonna do that, then a particle effect makes more sense. Maybe I'll just have to go back to using particle effects then. To my regret, I guess we have to use particle effects. So weapon. So we turn off the shape, we align it to the bottom. And this is not a vertical layout. Shape will be an edge with a radius of 0. Then if we put a whole bunch of weapons inside, it's going to start looking very crowded. So I guess this is the simplest way to use a particle system like that, and then to randomize the start frame. Then we have something going on here like this, and then after that the rest of the work has to do with, we have to layer everything properly as well, because right now the weapons are appearing above, so we have to use the sprite renderer to cover the front. So the front cannot be an image, the front has to be a sprite render. This, remove the front. Huh, it's not appearing. So then that means we have to use image. Oh yeah, so this feature, there's actually a lot of the tutorial that requires less work. The reason why this takes a lot more work is because Vampire Survivors, right? The game is made in such a way that they make it so that it's extremely satisfying for you to see the treasure chest. So you see there's a video that they made of it, right? And then, you know, it's just showing how enjoyable this is. So I assure you that the maker of Vampire Survivors spent a lot of time to get the treasure chest animation working the way that it does. Because what the game is designed to do is to make you keep playing and playing and playing. So it's like how gacha games work, right? Like they have very elaborate animations over there as well. So a lot of the mechanics are very simple to design, but the UI itself, if you want to make it, you know, it's like, this is like a dopamine porn, right? If you want to do that, then you have to spend a lot of time getting this to work. So you'll notice that things like, for example, the weapons or the gems are a lot easier to get working than the treasure chest animation itself. This is very normal. Yeah, animation is a whole, well, animation is a lot harder than making game mechanics, if you ask me. And it's also, I mean, I know how to do them, but I just want to do it in a way that makes it simple, you know. So like, for example, this treasure chest, right? If I want to make the treasure chest appear in front, I don't want to make a whole new canvas for it, but I may have to, you know. So if I don't have a choice, then I guess I will have to make another canvas just to put the treasure chest front, you know. I mean, I can always make another canvas and put the treasure chest front here. And then this will cover the particle effect. Particle effect has Sunbeam 10002. So this should be non-root canvases will not be scaled. So that means I have to put it outside. So for me to have two canvases just to get this to work, I just don't like it, you know. But I mean, we can make it work like that. It does work. But then it's not very portable, so I'm thinking of how to make it portable. And I also want to fit everything into the canvas, so I have quite a few I've got quite a few things I want to achieve with this. Yes, that's a very good observation. So one example I always cite is if you have, say, Candy Crush, right? If Candy Crush didn't have all those very nice animations, and Candy Crush's animations are very easy to do, but if they don't have these nice animations, then it's not gonna work as well. So it's the same thing for Vampire Survivors, you know. But if we were to do two canvases just to get this to work, I really don't like this. But what else can I do about it? You know what, I'm gonna end today's stream a little bit earlier. I'm gonna mull on this a little bit and see if there's any other way I can implement this in a prefab, so that we can just drop the prefab onto the scene whenever we want to unlock a new chest, and then just let the chest do all the work for us. Another way we can do it is just to have a video. For all you know, this is just a video, right? Because thing is so crazy, man. Okay, I'm gonna mull on this a little bit, and I guess I'll update you all when I think of something. I'm not gonna be streaming for the next 1 or 2 weeks. The next time I'll stream is at the end of the month, so around 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, so about 23rd or 24th. So the next 2 weeks I'll be thinking about, we'll still be making videos on visual effects, simpler to do than the Vampire Survivors Treasure Chest one. So I'll still be making videos on that, so no worries on that. So the last week of September, the second last week of September, I'll come back on stream, and then we will figure out something for this treasure chest. And after that, then we can make the next part of the series. So I want to get the treasure chest UI out, followed by the tile spawning system, and then that will be it for the Vampire Survivors series. And then after that, we can start exploring how to add additional features, additional weapons, etc, etc. So for now, if you're new here, what do we have with the first 24 parts of the Vampire Survivors series is, let me just disable these 2 canvases. So what we have right now, we have quite a few systems that are running right now. We have a buff and debuff system, and we have a very robust weapon system as well. So let me just turn on the canvas over here, and then you can see our weapon system. So we have weapon system, and we have a buff and debuff system. So the buff and debuff system allows us to create weapons that apply buffs and debuffs. So like for example, the Clock Lancer allows you to freeze enemies. And then we have a whole bunch of other weapons as well. Project files are on our Patreon, so you can go have a look. And then we also have a bunch of posts on our forums on how to create additional weapons. Like for example, we have one post that covers how to create. We have quite a few weapons. We have the 1000 Edge, we have Bloody Tail, we have Thunderloop. And then in the tutorial series, the weapons that I've covered are these weapons. Okay, we have Axe, we have Clock Lancer, we have Fire One, we have Garlic, we have Knife, we have Lightning Ring, we have Soul Eater, we have Whip. So weapon evolution also works right now, but the weapon evolution is quite rudimentary now because there's no treasure chest animation. So once you pick up the treasure chest in the map, then this immediately evolves your weapon. And this is something that's been grating at me for a while, which is why I'm exploring doing the treasure chest thing. Alright, so I'm gonna end this stream a little early. I'm gonna think about how else I can implement this treasure chest animation, and yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. So in the meantime, enjoy the rest of the videos that we have on the stream, and thank you very much for your support. And Yuki, thanks for joining the stream for the first time. I hope this was valuable to you. I think the individual videos themselves are more helpful for you if you're just starting out. And then once you get to the later parts, like say 15, 16, 17, these parts, right? Then you can come and post on the forums if you want to create unique features. We have some Patreons who have managed to create games of their own. Actually, yeah, I should have showed those games. Actually, we have some time, right? Why don't I show the game then? Let me just show the game that one of our Patreons has made. Just give me a while to start up Steam, right? So this is a game that one of our Patreons has made. Let me just install this. It's gonna be a quick one. It's called Arcane Pursuit, and it's basically Vampire Survivors with runes. And you can find, if you want a copy of this, you can find his Discord in the general discussion section of our forums. His name is Cam. So it's still quite basic, and I've dropped a whole bunch of feedback for him with his game. It's quite addictive. Like when I started playing, I just kept wanting to get a high score. So he has a high score system as well. He might have updated the game since the last time I've tried it. So he has a weapon system, bunch of chests. And the game is actually pretty hard to play, because there are a lot of enemies, you know. And he's got a shadow effect as well on the enemies. Like, so the enemies cast a shadow at the back. Harvest Hell, I think that's nice. So I had a lot of trouble with surviving. Because later on there are a lot more enemies that come out, and they are a lot nastier than the ones that we have here right now. So there's this enemy that's very scary, because he starts casting, and then after that a fireball will fly towards you, and then you just die out of the blue. So you see, look at this enemy here where my mouse is. So we have swarms as well. The swarms are also covered in the tutorial series, how do you spawn rings and how do you spawn mobs of enemies that just wave past like these. So when I started playing, I just kept wanting to get a high score, you know. But it depends on like your luck with the high score depends on the weapon that you get. And how fast you're able to clear the existing. So it's not finished, he's experimenting with new features. Or should I say newer features? So he's got this DPS window at the side as well. And he's got, well, these are covered in the tutorial, the DPS thing isn't. So after he has done the tutorials, based on what he has learned in the tutorials, he has tried to design his own thing. Like this DPS window is something that he made himself. And along the way, when he had questions, then he dropped me a post on the forum, and that was how he managed to put his features together. So give it a try, and yeah, I hope to see your gig. So after playing his game, I dropped him some feedback as well, and I think that the feedback is something that would be helpful to everyone as well. So let me just pull up my feedback for him. So I gave him 4 suggestions when it came to how to improve the game, and the first thing is that he should add more sound effects and visual effects. And this is something that is really easy for any game developer to do, because with any game that you have, right, if you turn off the sound, there is a very tangible difference to how the game feels. So then from there you can see that sounds are important. Visual effects are things like, so I like to say that whenever something important happens in your game, you have to have a visual effect for it. So if you have a fighting game, or if you have a combat based game like Vampire Survivors, anytime something gets hit, you have to have a sound effect and a visual effect. So for example, when a knife hits something, you get a splat, and then of course you have a piercing sound. When a lightning ring hits, the lightning strike should have a sound, and then every enemy that gets zapped should have a visual effect and sound that accompanies it as well. So then, as the more sounds you have, right, the more alive your game will feel, and this goes together with the visual effects. So there are some weapons that he has that are lacking sounds or visual effects, like for example his bottle, his version of the knife, the garlic. Well, our prototype doesn't have sound effects for the garlic as well, right? So the sound effects that are missing in his game, some of it is missing in our prototype as well. So every weapon should have as many visual effects as you can think of that are suitable. Alright, don't go adding visual effects that are not suitable. So this constitutes feedback, and it's the most important thing in any video game, because if there isn't any feedback, whether it's positive or negative, then there is no impetus to continue playing the game. So then whenever the player does the right thing, the feedback encourages the player to continue playing. This is the same reason why Vampire Survivors has such an elaborate treasure chest animation, because it's really satisfying to see the treasure chest and to wait and to just be in anticipation of what you will get, right? So that's the first thing: sound effects and visual effects, or feedback for all the weapons. The other thing is starting game balance is a little hard to survive in the game, so I advised him to cut down the number of waves and give the player some time to build up his base of weapons. So the longer a player spends in your game, the more they will feel committed to the game. So if you give the player 5 minutes, right, just to kill regular enemies and build up a set of weapons, then the player will feel much more committed to the game, and then he will try harder to survive, as opposed to, let's say, if you get into the game and within 20 minutes you die, then you don't really feel like playing the game, right? But if you spend 5 minutes and then suddenly after you collected 3 or 4 weapons, suddenly the number of enemies increase and you die, and you want to try again because you think about, did I collect the right weapons? Did I make the right choices? Did I get the right set of weapons to allow me to survive? So if you give the player a little more time to commit themselves to the game, then they will tend to play for a longer period of time. So I suggested that he spaced out his waves a little bit more. I also suggested to him to spread out the enemy spawns, in the sense that if you notice in the game, when we began the game, right, we just had a lot of different enemies come at us. And one thing that you notice about a lot of games is that they will try and trickle new content to you. So instead of having like 4 enemy types right away, they will have 2 enemy types, and they'll introduce 1 extra enemy type maybe every 5 minutes later. So by trickling the content, it allows you to constantly be seeing 1 or 2 new things, and then that keeps you feeling fresh about the game. So then you don't want to like waste all your enemy types by introducing them all at once. If you introduce them one by one, the freshness that it brings can last longer, right? If you have a lot of enemies and they are swarming you, then it's a little hard for you to notice that a new enemy has come onto the scene to see. That's why I suggested to him to spread out the game. So then this allows him to, create different, just more unique waves. So for example, he had buffs, he had like frozen bats, and he had bats that shot lightning as well. So then I told him that you can move these special bats to a later part of the wave cycle, and again this brings something fresh to the game, right? And then most important, I think, besides the feedback, is that he has to make sure that the player doesn't die out of the blue. So he has this mage character that shoots a very fast fireball, and the fireball is just invisible, it's just a very small particle, so it's very easy to miss it. So then if you just walk around and you're doing well, suddenly you get hit by a fireball that you don't know is there and you die, it just makes you not want to play the game anymore. So then whenever you have a game that you have an attack that deals a lot of damage to the player, that has a very high chance of killing a player, you have to make sure that the player is aware that the attack is coming, so that when they get hit by the attack, they will feel like, oh, it's my fault, and it's not because the game is badly designed. So making sure players don't die out of the blue is extremely important. Alright, so even for really hard games like Dark Souls, right, they make sure the player knows why they died. You cannot have a game where the player dies, he doesn't know why he died. Right, this is one of the most important things. So if they feel they are responsible, they will tend to want to try again. Whereas if they feel that they are not responsible for their own death, it's just because they got unlucky, then they will tend to not want to retry the game. And the games that are hard but then get the player to keep playing are the games that make the player feel like it's their fault when they die. And that's why number 4 is very important. So if you want to try out the game, you can check out the forums and get a coupon code, a voucher code, whatever you call that, from Camp. And yeah, that's all for the stream. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all at the end of September.